A White Hearthwarming by Chris. It was, by all accounts, a beautiful day. The sun shone brightly, the grass was green, sprinkled under hoof, and the temperature was just brisk enough that ponies could satisfy putting on their winter clothes. When not so cold they couldn't leave them behind at home, and they decided those clothes weren't quite as fetching as they imagined when they brought them. It was the sort of day about which no reasonable pony could possibly complain. "Oh, sweet Celestia, this weather is the worst!" cried Sunset Shimmer, smacking a hoof against the windowsill as he glared at the outside world. "I'm right here, you know," said Princess Celestia, a smile curling at the corners of her lips. She saw Sunset at the window, looking up on the city of Canterlot in all its splendid glory. "There's no need for such dramatics, I'm sure." Sunset was not mollified. "But look, there's no snow, and Hearth's warming is tomorrow. How am I supposed to have a Hearth's warming with no snow?" Celestia put a wing over Sunset's back, guiding her gently away from the window and towards the center of the castle chamber. "I've seen hundreds of Hearth's warmings, my dear student. I can assure you that a lack of snow has never once caused a holiday to be cancelled. In fact, some of the southern parts of Equestria, it almost never snows for Hearth's warming, and probably still, I don't care what they do in the south. There's supposed to be snow on the ground at Hearth's warming. There's always snow!" Celestia's face became neutral. She lifted her wing, and Sunset clenched her mouth shut, where the princess was no longer humoring her. "Sunset, what 3 words have I asked you to stop using in my presence?" A half-hour murmur was her only answer. "Sunset?" "I don't care. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I just..." Sunset looked down, frowning at the carpet. "I like the snow, and it should snow for Hearth's warming." She scut the hoof. "It always snows for Hearth's warming." Celestia smiled again. "Perhaps it always has in your lifetime. But I assure you this will not be the first time I've seen the spires of Canterlot bare for the holidays. And speaking from experience," she leaned in close and looked at Sunset with a twinkle in her eye. "Those years were no less special to me." Sunset nodded weakly. "Okay," she said. Her voice is still a bit too weak for her own liking. Celestia nodded back, then straightened and walked towards the door. "I have business to attend to. I'd very much like to see you again this evening. Until then..." Rather than speak and risk her voice betraying her again, Sunset simply nodded one more time. Celestia opened the door. Pausing as he exited, the princess looked back to her student. Already, Sunset noted her face bore the opaque mask that she invariably wore in public. It was the only expression of hers which most ponies had never known. But Sunset had seen it was later often enough in the last year to recognize the effect. Celestia spoke. "Oh, and Sunset? Until then, perhaps you might consider reflecting on the history of Hearth's warming." A knowing grin picked through the mask. "Just for a second. I think you'll find your concerns put at ease soon enough." With that, she closed the door gently. Reflecting on the history of Hearth's warming might seem to most ponies like a kindly way of brushing someone off, but Sunset wasn't most ponies. She had seen the princess's pride student for almost a year now, and she knew a test when she saw one. So the passage of an hour saw her hunched over a heavy oak table near the back of the royal library, her head buried deep in a history book, looking for some clue as to what Celestia might have meant. Page after page flew by as she muttered to herself, trying to find something that would shed light on the princess's cryptic phrasing. After all, when has she ever not been cryptic? "You'll find your concerns at ease," she muttered to herself, rolling the words over in her mind. With a shake of her head, she delved back into her reading. She wormed her way through the book as fast as comprehension allowed until... "Aha!" she cried triumphantly, leaping up on the table, dramatically planting her hoof in the illustration of the 3 tribes fleeing their homelands. At last, she knew exactly... "Shh!" Just the matronly librarian. Sunset bristled, but she had long since learned not to doubt the resolve of libraries' dry, dusting, and unfairly cranky sentinels. Or at least, not to doubt her ability in getting trouble with Celestia. She got down off the table and took her seat quietly. "Aha!" gently saying her hoof an illustration of the 3 tribes fleeing their homelands. At last, she knew exactly what she needed to do. Celestia loomed over Sunset Shimmer. Normally, she would lower her neck to look Sunset in the eyes when they talked, but now she stood tall, staring sternly down, her disappointment plain to see. Sunset Shimmer glared up at her, standing her ground as she tried to meet the disappointment with her own defiance. After a tense moment, Celestia sat down and took a seat. Sunset remained standing. Sunset, Celestia said, rubbing the base of her horn with a hoof. Would you care to tell me why I'm returning from court to find that you've been restricted to my chamber for your own good? You already asked the guard at the door, Sunset said, unable to keep the pout from her voice, even as she continued to glare. Why don't you tell me what he said? Celestia sighed again. She didn't speak right away, but after a few minutes he answered. He told me you've been spending the afternoon running around the castle, insulting every pony you met. He told me you've been rushing about, seemingly bent on being as unpleasant as possible to as many ponies as you can. He told me he literally followed a path of crying fillies and colts to find you, and he brought you here as much for your own safety as for the safety of every pony in this castle. She pursed her lips. He also told me that you said to him, and I'm quoting, that you should enjoy your power trip while you can, because when I become a princess, I'm going to throw you out on the street like the dirty mule you are. Sunset didn't flinch. I don't care if it's rude. Mules are dirty. What 3 words have I? I don't care! Sunset cried. I don't care, Celestia. I did exactly what you said, and what happened? I got picked up by the scruff of my neck and sent to the teacher's room like a little fool! What was supposed to teach me, Celestia? Huh? What? Celestia shook her head. Suddenly, Sunset thought she looked very old. Sunset, have I ever given you a single lesson that could be solved with cruelty? She looked her straight in the eye. Tell me first, what do you think I was trying to teach you? You said I should study hearth warming so I could fix this stupid weather, Sunset said. Her eyes started to water, but she soldiered on. You said if I thought about it, I'd figure out how to make everything better. And I did, she sniffed. I figured it out. I mean, I read the book, how ponies got back before the founding were angry and mean to each other, and this made the Wendigos come and cover everything in ice. But even though I tried to make every pony really mad, they never came. A bit of iron returned to her voice as she added, your stupid guard locked me in here! Celestia stood and walked to the window. Sunset, she began, peeking over the drawn curtains and peering outside. Do you really think that I would want you to spread anger and sadness across the city? Do you truly believe that is what I intended for you to learn? Sunset grimaced. You did what you wanted to, without regard for others, Celestia finished for her. If you study the meaning of the first hearth warming, not just its offense, you will have learned something rather different. You will have learned, just as Smart Cookie, Private Pansy, and Clover the Clever did, that true power doesn't come from blustery bravado or riding roughshod over any pony who is in your way. True power comes from a kinder, more beautiful place. Turning to her nurse, he said, Come here, Sunset, and look over Canterlot. Cringing, Sunset trotted up to the window and pushed aside the curtains. Then she gasped, It can't be. It's... Her voice caught, but finally she whispered, Snowing. Outside, teams of Pegasi pushed cloud after cloud into position, forming a wispy gray ceiling over the city. As they were moved to the place, other teams began coaxing the snow out of them. Only a few flurries, but more all the time. The spires of Canterlot were dusted with white. Speaking of which, Trix, yes. Remind me to, again, rip up that letter from Rainbow Dash telling me to participate in dropping the snow over Ponyville. I mean, I'm a book reader. I have another job. I can't be seen spending around all day creating snow clouds in winter for Ponyville. I just can't. So, what are you going to do as he starts knocking at your door? The same thing I did last time, Trixie. It's called Plane Shift, teleport out, go to another dimension, and enjoy hearing them tell their sad stories again. Ah, the old, let's do what we did last year trick. Precisely. Don't ever mess with a planeswalker. It won't be much. Just a half inch or so. Still, it seems we'll have a hearth warming after all, Celestia observed. Sunset gasped. Did you do all that? When Celestia nodded, she broke out in a grin was spread nearly ear to ear. You did it? You ordered all those? I asked them, Sunset. Celestia gently interrupted. She gestured to the window. Every pony out there is a volunteer, working together to bring a bit of snow to Canterlot. Not just for you, but for all ponies in the city who wish for a white heartwarming. Celestia wraps her wing around Sunset. This is the lesson I wanted you to learn. That when ponies work together in friendship and harmony, there's nothing they cannot do. Sunset snuggled against the princess, taking her eyes off the window. So, if I act nice, ponies will do what I want without me having to order them around? Celestia opened her mouth and closed it again. After a long moment, she smiled. I suppose that's close enough for now. Sunset frowned, even as her eyes remained full of wonder. I don't want to be close enough, she said, still watching the flurries fall. I know you don't, Celestia agreed, and I believe this is a lesson you will fully grasp in time. Perhaps not this very moment, but I am certain that there will come a day when you look back to this evening and understand with perfect clarity. She gazed out the window with Sunset. You still have much to learn, my dear student, but I have no doubt that you'll go on to do great things one day. Together, the two of them watched the snow fall. It was by all accounts a beautiful night. The moon glowed gently. The snow was clean and white among the rooftops. The temperature was just brisk enough for ponies to feel properly grateful for setting aside the roaring fires. Without being so cold, he actually felt concerned about the prospect of having to make a trip to get more wood. Sort of night about which no reasonable pony could possibly complain. Happy heartwarming, my dear student, Princess Celestia. She carefully tucked a bucket around Sunset Shimmer, who curled up next to her by the fire. Sunset didn't reply. She was already fast asleep. Everybody, on three. 1, 2, 3. Aww! Hey! Martial art freakies, or let's bring her, whatever your name is. I know you're trying to skip out on Snow Day. Uh-oh. Trix, would you mind keeping an eye on her and distracting her? I gotta activate Planet Planeswalker real quick. Thank goodness these things attach to the host real well. See you guys later. Boo! Like he said, Merry Christmas and all that.